Guess who's back? Back again. Chico's back. Tell Kennedy your girlfriend. Yes, I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Feeling the research burn inside of me. You know what that means? Some of the best crypto content on the tube. You know my drill. It's time for Chico Crypto. BNY Mellon. There was some big news yesterday for one of America's biggest and oldest banks in the crypto space. The largest institutional Bitcoin fund and crypto fund, Grayscale, forged an agreement with them so they could provide asset servicing and ETF services for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. From the press release, it says asset servicing begins in October of this year, and it's anticipated that BNY Mellon will provide transfer agency and ETF services for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust upon its conversion to an ETF. Upon its conversion to an ETF. This isn't an if anymore, my friends, it's a matter of when. But what's an ETF? That stands for Exchange Traded Fund. It's hailed as a grand poobah of institutional products for Bitcoin. Everyone has been waiting for it as rumors started of ETFs coming back in 2017. So the CEO of Grayscale, Mike Sonnenshein, just confirmed that they were nearing one nearly 6 months ago. He was asked about their plans by the Block's Frank Shapiro. Let's listen to his response.
We spent the better part of 2017 in SEC registration for Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And we made a lot of progress with the commission and ultimately realized that the regulatory environment wasn't ready for a Bitcoin ETF. And we pulled out of that process and, went back to doing what we do great at Grayscale, which is building investment products and working on building our brand and building on our team and the product offerings. And so I think we are certainly encouraged by developments in the market and believe that the market is certainly maturing day by day. And it's really just a matter of when, not a matter of if, an ETF for Bitcoin comes along in the US. And, we certainly want to be engaged with the regulatory community around it. And we'll look to pursue that when we get the signals that the winds are blowing in favor of that type of a product.
Well, obviously the winds are blowing in the favor of a Bitcoin ETF, as BNY Mellon as an ETF service provider has over 20 years and has helped serve some of the widest range of ETF products, including their own low-cost and no-fee ETFs, becoming an issuer of their own last year. Thus, BNY is in the perfect position to help Grayscale issue their first ETF, building it to be low cost and maybe even feeless, outshining those gold ETFs. And guess what? Michael spoke about BTC versus gold in that interview with regards to an ETF-like environment. Let's listen in once again.
Are you seeing publicly traded companies come to you guys and figure out how they could get Bitcoin on their balance sheet through Grayscale?
We are talking to a lot of different types of investors at the moment. I would say now the only investor type that is not represented within the Grayscale family would be a sovereign, like a nation state or someone like that. Outside of that, we have a very large and diverse group of investors that are leveraging our product suite.
When sovereign?
Oh, I knew if I said sovereign, you'd ask me that, Frank. I mean, let's think about it, right? It's funny. I think many times we start getting pushback that, perhaps Bitcoin is held in the hands of too few individuals and it's maybe not as decentralized as we think it is. Well, that's kind of irksome, if you ask me, because look at something like gold. Who owns most of the gold? Where is most of the gold? It's on the balance sheets of all the sovereigns, right? It's in all the central banks. And I think as this rotation out of gold and into Bitcoin continues, which, signs point to that rotation, being a real thing.
Sovereign nations are the next investor type going for BTC accumulation. And as we know, since the chat in February, a sovereign nation has went gung-ho on BTC. El Salvador has committed to adding BTC to their balance sheet. Other countries are now joining the fun with Paraguay to release their Bitcoin bill today. Like Mike of Grayscale said in his interview, BTC is replacing gold. Central banks will eventually rotate out, and the tides are slowly but surely turning that way. Smaller South American countries are moving towards BTC and not gold. What will it take to get a European country to do it, or possibly even the United States government? It will take an ETF to get launched, which gives those friends of the government, institutions, Wall Street, the elite, the one percenters, the ability to control the asset. An ETF is good in the short to mid-term, but it could be devastating to Bitcoin in the long term. Why do I think this? Well, it happened to gold and pretty much any asset that gets an ETF launched against it. The first gold-backed ETFs or ETF-like products came out in 2003, and as we can see, it was Australia and Canada who were the culprits. After the success of this, the United States and the UK launched their own in 2004, gold bullion securities and the Spider Gold shares. And shortly after, the world joined the party and gold ETFs started exploding left and right throughout the decade. What happened to the price of gold during this time, the ETF explosion? Well, for the next 9 years, it went parabolic, a growth from April 2003 to its peak in 2012 of 476% growth. And as you can see, money started flowing into these ETFs like a madman by the billions upon billions, reaching the peaks in 2009 and 2012. But look at those outflows in 2013. Gold got dumped and dumped hard, and this was reflected in the price. Gold struggled to recover for years upon years, almost another decade. But looking at the recent price data, we have finally got back to those peak levels. But it hasn't been able to break out, even with the craziness going on in the world. It seems like gold is being purposely held back. So obviously initially this ETF was great for the price of gold. It caused a parabolic run up. But you want to know who was the ones cashing out big time initially? Institutions, Wall Street, and the elite. Especially the central banks. They started dumping early in 2011 and continued to dump, crashing the price down. Now, it took years for these ETFs to be accepted and put into 401ks, retirement accounts, aka the majority of wealth held with the 99% of America. The 401ks got in late from 2007 on. They bought the top, and most got wrecked with the crashing prices, fueled by the banks, Wall Street, and the elite. And if you know anything about the gold markets, there is major fear that the paper gold being traded back and forth isn't fully backed by actual gold. They are inflating the true supply, these ETFs and funds. So here we go. Once again, the United States is readying their first Bitcoin ETF through who we mentioned earlier, Grayscale. And Grayscale even put out a blog detailing their plans further, titled Grayscale's Intentions for a Bitcoin ETF. In the blog, they showed the life cycle of a Grayscale product. First is private placement. Second is obtaining public quotation on secondary markets. Third is reporting to the SEC. And finally, you get the ETF. And just below that, we can see where each Grayscale product is in this life cycle, with only Bitcoin and Ethereum being at the SEC reporting stage. So, could Grayscale be getting ready to launch an Ethereum ETF too? But regarding Bitcoin, it's not only Grayscale who's coming with a US-based ETF. There may be another one that beats them to the punch. Remember Cathie Wood of ARK Invest? Well, her ETF, Bitcoin-based ARKB, was the first to list the fees, which means they are getting really close to approval. The US institutions are coming for Bitcoin, and it's very possible we get one this year. And what's funny to me is it's playing out almost exactly like gold. Remember, it was Canada and Australia who launched a gold ETF before the United States. It was just 1 year later that the US joined in on the party with Spider. Well, isn't that just convenient? Canada launched their first Bitcoin ETF in February, and in 2 days it had nearly $500 million AUM. And just like the United States, Australia is getting ready to launch its first Bitcoin ETF. All I have to say is this. The more things change, the more they stay the same. BTC is getting institutionalized, but unlike gold, we have a fully public ledger, and we can see everything these ETFs might just be doing. Cheers, I'll see you next time.